Hey everybody, welcome to this special little section of how to pick faster, how to play faster, how to gain speed. I'm going to go through the top tips here that we mentioned in the blog here. Number one is use a pick. Okay, I've had students who insisted on using their fingers, and then once they get to a certain fast part, I had one student wanted to learn AC/DC's Thunderstruck, and he tried to do it all with his thumb, and he really couldn't get he really couldn't get too far with that. So that's number one, use a pick. Number two is use alternate picking. Now alternate picking is taking your pick and going up and down. Okay, so once again with that guy using his thumb, he would only play downstrokes with his thumb. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use that down and upstroke. So instead of going just down, you can only go so fast going just down. So going down and up, you get a little bit more speed. Number three would be avoid thin picks. Now thin picks are really fun, and there are a lot of beginners like to start with thin picks, but I find that there's too much give in the thin picks. So find yourself a nice medium pick. If you want to use a thick pick, that's fine. But when you're doing this intricate work, you want to make sure that the pick is nice and solid. With a thin pick, it just gives too much. Okay. Number four, you want to clutch up on the pick. A lot of people hold the pick like it's a dead mouse. Ooh, take it away. So what I recommend is just clutching up on the pick, holding a little bit more in your hand. Okay. That'll give you more control over the pick, so it's not flopping around. Okay. Number five would be hold it on its side. Now this is a trick I learned from an old friend of mine, and I see most people holding the pick with the pointy end sticking out. But I noticed that he actually turned it on its side, so a little bit of the piece sticks out. Now I point the pick towards my wrist. That's the point there, so it's actually sitting on its side. And the reason I like that is because less comes in contact with the string. If you've got the pick in here and you're digging through, you're going to end up, it's almost going to feel like a sewing needle having to do a lot of bouncing. But if I turn it on its side, there's just a little bit less that gets caught up in the strings. Okay, number six is what I call the head scratcher. And so, like I said in the previous tip there, the pick you want to use as little contact with the strings as possible. So if you can imagine the string almost like the top of your head, if you were to scratch your head, you wouldn't scratch by your neck all the way down to your forehead and back and forth. You would just kind of scratch the top. That's kind of the motion we're looking for, is that slight minimal motion. Which brings us to number seven. That's the economy of motion. Now, you want to give as little as possible. You don't want to have big swinging movements as you do this, okay? The way I like to do it is I like to put my wrist on the strings I'm not playing. That gives you a little extra muting support. So if I'm playing, for example, on string one, the thumb muscle I have here is actually sitting on all the other strings below it, okay? And so when I'm playing, instead of playing from my elbow, there's not as much control, I'm playing from my wrist, so you have a little bit more control with that. Okay? Number eight would be just relax. A lot of times when people start off and they want to get the speed, they really give it the white knuckle treatment. They clutch up tight on the pick, and they really, their whole forearm gets frozen and just locked in. So to avoid that, just relax. You're going to have a nice, gentle movement at first, okay? It's going to feel a little funny, but you'll have more you'll feel better. Your arms won't be as fatigued. You won't be as tired. Okay. So relax. Okay. Another thing too is a lighter touch. Now, when we're first starting out, a lot of people use their dominant hand to pick. Well, that dominant hand is stronger naturally, and so when you're first starting out, you have a tendency to really want to hit the strings really hard. That's also going to slow things down when you're really hitting strings hard. So lighten your touch up a little bit, and that will help the string play a little smoother. Another thing to do would be to lower the action on your guitar. A lot of times when you buy that first guitar from a garage sale or from your uncle, you haven't played in 15, 20 years, the action is a lot of times it's raised up. Now the action is the height of the string in regards to how high it is from the fretboard. So higher strings equal more pressure to put down, which takes more energy, which just slows you down. Okay, so the lower action in a guitar will definitely help speed that up. A lot of people forget to use their pinky also when they're fretting. If you're playing bends, of course you're playing bends, you really want to dig in with a couple other fingers, but when you're fretting and you want to do like a speedy movement, the more fingers you have to use will help increase the speed naturally, because instead of using 2 fingers, let's say your first finger and your third finger to do your scale, you can use more than 1 finger. People always forget the pinky. Lastly, if you want to chart your progress, I always recommend playing with a drum track. Now, a drum track is more exciting than a metronome. Metronomes are important, but a lot of people thumb their nose at a metronome because they're so boring. So a nice, interesting way to use timekeeping, but to use it in a unique and exciting way for you, is to play with a drum track. Now, you can log on to YouTube and type in drum track, and then just type in the beats per minute you want, and you'll have several different people doing their versions of straight beats or shuffle beats or heavy metal beats or whatever it is you want to be playing. Those are a little bit more exciting than using a metronome. Those are the tips I have for getting better, faster. If I've missed any, make sure to leave a comment in the section below. Otherwise, we'll just see you on the road real soon, all right? Thanks. Bye.